So I've had time to take a look at the PlayStation 5 reveal event, the future of gaming, and I've had a little bit of time to digest and look over everything, watched all the trailers and watched the show again, and I wanted to give you my thoughts about the PlayStation 5 event pretty much the next day, because at the time when it all went down, I was pretty hyped about some of the announcements that we saw, and I really want to just kind of give you my overall impressions of the system, what I think about the system, what I think about prices, and what the future holds for Sony. And is Microsoft worried about Sony's presentation? Should they be worried? Let's get into it, because we've been waiting months to see the PlayStation 5. And remember, it was the Game Awards back in December of 2019 where we first saw the Xbox Series X. So we've needed to take a look at the PlayStation 5 for a long time, and we finally got the chance to see it. And boy, did we get a look at it. Now, it wasn't the actual system, as in, it wasn't the actual true system, it was just a 3D render, of course, but Sony kept teasing the system throughout the show, and I think, the actual teaser part of the presentation was quite well done. But onto the console itself, Sony has come out with two systems in the PS5 line, the regular and the all-digital edition. Now, these systems essentially are both the same. They share the exact same hardware specifications, the same hardware design, except for the removal of the 4K Blu-ray drive in the digital edition, which the design-wise kind of reminds me of an Xbox 360 that's kind of been stood upright, an older version model that has the face plates. So aesthetically, I didn't really mind the PS5 digital edition design, but the regular PS5 edition to me just looks kind of strange, and the design is striking. There's no two ways about it, and we've all been talking about the design of the PS5, and look, maybe that's what Sony wants. Maybe we're supposed to be talking about the design of the PS5. And I guess if we go back in history and look at the Sony designs on the PlayStation hardware, they've not always been conventional. In fact, think about it. If you think about the PS3, the George Foreman grill or the toaster, the PS3, that was something that was heavily criticized when it first came out, but now it's kind of loved and respected. And the PS4 had its criticisms as well, that it looked like a pencil eraser. The PS2 had its criticisms about its kind of dual shaped design on the fat model. So will this system stand the test of time and become a beloved aesthetic that people really embrace? That remains to be seen. But first impressions were a little interesting for me. I didn't particularly like the design of the PS5. I thought the PS5 digital looked a lot nicer, and if it wasn't for the fact that it was an all-digital system, and I'm probably just going to buy the physical version of the PlayStation 5 hardware, that would be the one that I would normally go for. But let me know what you guys think about the design of the PS5. I was live streaming it, and I got a lot of funny comments in the chat. A lot of people were very confused about what they had seen. Look, for me, Sony always comes out with these interesting designs. So I was expecting something along those lines, but maybe not to the extent that we saw with the final PS5 design. But hey, it's here, and look, it's not just about the aesthetics, it's also about the games. It's really hard to tell when you saw the renders of it on the presentation, but this looks like a very tall design. If you look closely at the slot for the DVD drive or the Blu-ray drive, you can see how much more space is available above it. And if you compare that to, say, the Xbox Series X or even a PlayStation 4 or a Xbox One or Xbox One X, you can see how much taller this system is. This is going to be a very tall system. So, hopefully you have the appropriate room in your entertainment center to actually house a PlayStation 5. Also, horizontally, there is a stand that is available for a horizontal position PS5. So it's like the reverse of what we've always known about the PlayStation 5. In the past, you would have to buy an optional add-on, to mount your PS4 or PS3 or PS2 vertically. So for me, I did like the aesthetics of the digital edition, but the physical edition was not something that I was particularly keen on. So now all of a sudden we have two SKUs from the PlayStation line, and Microsoft has the Series X and the rumored Lockhart. So we'll get to the Lockhart discussion here in a second, but as far as price, Sony, in my opinion, has two ways they can go. They can cut $50 off the price of the digital edition, because I mean, look, how much is a 4K Blu-ray player going to, add to the cost of a bill of materials? Or do they knock $100 off the cost and really let Microsoft know that, look, we don't care about the Lockhart. We're not interested in a lower spec next generation system, because we have our own PlayStation 5 hardware which runs the exact same PlayStation 5, albeit with slightly less features, lack of a 4K Blu-ray player, but we've taken $100 off the price, which I do admit is aggressive, but all of a sudden it kind of nullifies the Lockhart argument that Microsoft is trying to bring to next generation, where you can potentially get, and I'm going to use $299 as the price for Lockhart, all of a sudden now the PS5 digital edition, which again is the exact same PS5 hardware with a 850 gigabyte SSD and the same 10.5 teraflop processor and all that stuff, you're going to get all those features no matter which PlayStation 5 you purchase. That is a very compelling argument. So part of me feels like that Sony is not just going to dip the price of the PS5 digital to $450 and the regular model is $499. I think Sony is going to sell the digital edition at $399 and really throw down a gauntlet. It's very interesting to see what the conversation is going to look like, how Microsoft will respond to the PS5 digital, because I think Microsoft would be considering, introducing the Lockhart as part of their plans for the Xbox One Series X. We've heard rumors about the Lockhart for months, but we've also heard that maybe it's not something that they're planning on announcing at launch. But all of a sudden, I think the conversation has probably changed, and now Microsoft is considering bringing the Lockhart forward. So if you ask me why Sony decided to release two PlayStation 5 SKUs or SKUs, it's quite simple. Digital video games, the digital landscape is taking over video games. Although I'm a big collector of physical media and I love my physical media, the reality is a lot of people are playing games digitally. And it's also interesting that Sony, this is the first time they've gone with a digital-only system ever since the PSP Go. And that was a system that, when it came out, people didn't really like, because no one really understood why you would want a digital-only system. Back at the time, I mean, you could really give Sony a lot of credit for forward-thinking about the PlayStation or the PSP Go in a digital capacity. And here we are again, all those years later, and they're basically repeating history by bringing out a digital PlayStation 5, which I think is awesome to see, and ultimately will probably sell a lot more than just the 4K regular edition. So I personally think that consoles that have a slot for physical media, those days are sadly numbered. I think we're going to really start to see video game consoles start to push towards a digital-only environment, in the not too distant future, as much as it pains me to say that. But guys, I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. What did you think about the PS5? What did you think about the system? What do you think about my thoughts about the digital-only edition? What do you think the system is going to be priced at? Do you think Microsoft is concerned about what they've seen with the PlayStation 5, or do you think it's going to be something that they kind of feel like they've got a handle on? I still think that the Microsoft Series X, the Xbox Series X, is the more powerful system, but from what we've seen today, especially with the very strong games presentation and games lineup, where we actually saw a lot of the PlayStation 5's power being utilized, albeit we weren't told explicitly about it. Really showed off a lot of the power and performance of the PlayStation 5. And really now the question is, what is Microsoft going to do in response to this? But the next few months over the summer is going to be very interesting, and we'll be covering it here on this channel. Absolutely, we'll be covering it. And look out for more live streams on these presentations that appear over the summer. Well, guys, we are going to leave it here for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, you know what to do. Leave me a thumbs up, and as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye for now.